So think about, what desire is it? What's your fantasy that you'd really love to have? Like if you had godlike powers and you could just walk out of this room and you could do whatever you wanted. You can mind control any character out there you wanted to, seduce anybody with a snap of your fingers, have any kind of experience you want to have. You can create anything you want. What would that be? So as I started thinking about this many years ago, I began realizing, there's all these experiences I think I might want to have, but I'm not letting myself have those experiences. I'm not giving myself permission to have those experiences. I was married, and so I'm like, I can't have a threesome. I'm married. I'm monogamous. I can't do this other, kinky stuff. It's not appropriate. All these things I can't do. And then I started realizing, well, whose rules are those? Remember how Sasha talked about earlier today, the rules that we're conditioned to live by? I started challenging some of those rules, and I thought, is that really true? Can I not have those experiences? And am I really going to go my whole life and not have any of those experiences? And I thought, that doesn't have to be that way. I can actually have those experiences if I want. And so I just started leaning into them. And one of the ways I leaned into it is I learned that if I could get to the point where I could broadcast those desires, like I could let everybody in my life know about it. Like my kids could see it, my parents could see it, extended family member, everybody reads my blog could see it, and there'd be nowhere to hide. People would know the real truth about me. How perverted I am, on the inside, if I could just share these desires openly. Then I realized that would be a very freeing place to be. Like being totally naked to the world, being exposed, having nothing more to hide. And so I decided to take some risks with that. First in things that were just totally not even related to relationship life, just sharing some things about myself and putting that out there. And then I realized, if I could start doing this not just about things about my past I was ashamed about, but things about my future or what I might want to get into. And so I started doing things like on Twitter, I would post, I heart threesomes, and just let everybody react to it. And so some people say, you can't do that. I'm like, I just did do that. I can say whatever I want to say. And then other people would say, I heart threesomes too. And I was like, interesting. And what happened is that over time, as I started broadcasting more and more my desires openly, I realized that the shame and the fear or guilt, whatever I was using to block myself was just nothing. It was just empty space. It was air. It was all an illusion. And that what I feared might happen, some of it actually did happen. Like this person will reject me or they'll hate me if they know this about me. Then they went ahead and rejected me and hated me, and I was okay with that. I realized the real problem is not the expectation of resistance and negative feedback from other people. The real problem is our resistance to their resistance. Does that make sense? Okay? So the real problem is not the consequences of being open about our desires and taking full ownership of them. That's not a problem at all. The problem is that we make it into a problem that if other people react negatively, it's a bad thing. But here's what happens. Let me turn the page and tell you what happens on the other side. So you broadcast these desires openly, and sure, there's the initial backlash. In most cases, I find it lasts about 1 to 2 days, maybe 48 hours. You get the people complaining, you can't say that, you can't do that, you creep, you pervert. And then after that, or maybe even simultaneously with that, you get other people saying, hey, I have that same desire. We should play together. Really? I started posting after my wife and I separated in 2009, because I was transitioning out of the marriage at that point. I posted about, on my Facebook page, I started posting some stuff about domination submission play, like master-slave play and things like that. And like doing sex play where there's a power exchange, like one person can command the other to do whatever he wants. And somebody wrote back to me and said, oh, so are you like the dominant side or the submissive side? I'll bet you're the dominant one. I said, well, yeah, actually I am. And then a couple more emails later, I'm inviting her, oh, hey, why don't you come out and play together? And she didn't live in my city, but I invited her out, and just like within an hour of her showing up, we ended up having sex together and doing all this DS play over the period of a week. And that was more than 3 years ago, and she's sitting in the back of the room. Now she's my girlfriend. But it was simply broadcasting that. Yeah, she's such a slut. But this is all public. This is all on my blog already. You know, like people already know this about us. It's not a secret. And yet, what if I couldn't broadcast that? Then I couldn't experience that. Okay? So what is it that you cannot broadcast to the world?